The parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector.
Yay. And this is Luke 18:9.
9. And also, it just says also. Also, he spoke this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others.
Let's read that before. Let's read that again. And he spoke this parable to those who trusted in themselves,
So
like
they knew
pride,
who they
like
were.
that they were righteous and despised others. So they're judging others and thinking that they are all of it. Like they got it. They got everything. Don't
Okay.
touch me. So, okay, so interesting. So this is who the parable is for. I mean, we could
I
all
guess.
we could all have moments of that, so we all need it.
Was he talking about the Pharisees and tax collectors? Or
Probably, but
both?
maybe he was trying to get. We all have a little pride, I think. So we have to. So probably all of us in a way, right?
Or
But in that specific case, he might have been.
I mean, people didn't like tax collectors.
Yes. Well, they thought they were sinners, so they didn't necessarily think that they knew everything. They just were extorting them.
Yeah, well, that's how they felt.
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
So two men went up to this temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector.
Interesting. So this is in the story now. This is the story that he's telling, right?
Right. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this tax collector.
So he thought he was better, right?
Right. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess.
Mhm.
And the tax collector standing afar off, like, what is going on?
Mm.
Would not so much as raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner.
So he was more humble, right? He knew even though he might have been, he had a, he was guilty. He felt guilty, right? He felt that he wasn't worthy.
Well, it's like if I'm gonna two sides of a coin, like one is I'm you should forgive me because of how good I am,
Right,
and the other one's you should forgive me because of how bad I am.
right,
But
right.
you're right,
Sure, in a
the
way,
humbleness.
he's asking for mercy, and mercy is getting what we don't, not getting what we
What
do
we don't
deserve.
deserve. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted.
Mm, wow.
And in order to do that, mother, how do how would you even humble yourself? You have to be aware enough of your actions to be able to not do things that would cause you to be humbled, right? Which I think a
Mm.
good example is like the person who went to the party, that parable.
Yes, yes, the one.
So you go to the head of the table and nobody knows you and you're looking for a seat. Whereas if you're brought up by the person,
Right, you sit in the back, and then if the person wants to bring you up to the top table, per se, right?
right. But that's a good humbling experience,
It is a humbling. Yes, yes.
especially if you weren't aware enough to know that, like, if you show up to a wedding uninvited,
Right. And if we look at the tax collector, he was humble to know that he was doing wrong.
right. And he didn't.
He was, right. So maybe not every tax collector would be humble enough. We just know this one, right? Because he's in the church and he's asking God for mercy. So he knows that he's messed up. And in a way, we've all messed up. We need God's mercy. So,
Or we might in the future, right?
right. Well, every day I feel like I need it. For my thoughts and everything. I need your mercy, God. Yes. And maybe more in the future, like you said, but definitely I need it all the time. Wow.
Never hurts.
No, thank you, Lord, that we don't want to be exalted or prideful like the Pharisee in a way, thinking that we don't need God's mercy. Because what is he saying? He's not really even asking for mercy, is he?
And it's not like the Pharisee is wrong either.
Or is he wrong? Let's look at him.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't
Because
say
he,
that he's wrong. I mean, he's trying to live a good life, right?
right.
But to
But he's,
say that one is better than the other,
yeah, he's saying, God, I thank you that I'm not like other men.
is that what Jesus is trying to say, or is that what we're trying to say?
What do
Or
you
is
mean?
that what it's saying? Is that one is better than the other?
I think he's saying that it's better to be humble than to be thing, right? What's the last
Right.
verse? 14.
For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted.
Right. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being exalted as long as it's coming from God and not coming from like the Pharisee, where he's saying he's thinking he's better, so therefore he has a right. He's better than the other person, but we can't really think we're better than other people, right?
Right.
You know, we just because everyone's walk is different. We have to walk our own walk, stay in our own lane.
Right. And keep, tend to your own garden, do your own
Yeah,
thing. Because at the end of the day,
we right when we
you can
stand
take
in.
care of yourself and
Yes,
everybody else can take care of themselves. Then we can take care of each other.
right. Well, we're right because we do have to take care of each other, but we have to justify our own actions, right?
But you
And
got
it,
to make sure you're good first.
oh, I see what you're saying on that part, right?
It's just like, how can you want to help other people knowing that you're a disaster yourself?
Oh man,
Right?
disaster.
That, like, you know,
Oh,
is that not part of like patience? And I mean, your
and
healing
you're
process can be part of the journey, but like,
right, right, right. You might be asked to help people along the way, you know?
right.
You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to, right, because you don't want to, I mean, we're not going
We
to be,
all walking around with planks in our eyes, mother,
yeah,
bumping
yeah,
into each other.
right, right. We do have, it's very bumpy out there, isn't it?
It is. It's very
And
planky.
planky. Wow. Lord,
Um,
help us, right?
right. Help us find some peace.